Hey again. In this video, I want to build the code. When someone click on this button, I show him, I get the age from this field and I do some process and show the results here. So to do that, I need to first go here and just get some review about this. We have three things in the layout. You have edit text, you have text view, you have a button. The code that manage this file, if you remember, this is the code. The one has a context. If I click main activity, is this one, or you could access to it from this way. Okay, this is the code. Now this is the code that control this layout. Okay. Now I want when someone click on this button, do some process. To access to this button from the code, the button have to have ID. So here have ID. So you should give it unique ID. Let me say name it bu get age. Okay, I give it specific ID, like no other object in the form has that ID. Now if I go to the code, which is the code here, I could call the button. You remember this is we talked about this event. We say this event get fired automatically whenever anyone call this file. When this file gets called, this method get fired. Only create look like a main method in Java or any other programming language. And this is by the way is just display set content to try to view this layout for us. When I want to access to this button events, which is by this case name it bu age gate, I just go here and in this button I create the listener. I say bu and I say get. You see, like I click Control space so it show me this line. Make sure I click I see add Android extension. Make sure you add it, okay? Because I need this line to be here. Please make sure to add it. Otherwise, if you just don't add this line, you just directly say, okay, I have bu age or get age. This one will not work. Okay, make sure always import this one because this is how they Kotlin connect the UI with the code. So now, okay, now I have this object in this case, which is this button, have this ID. I want to access to the event listener. I say just set on click listener. Set on click. There is a lot of event to do with button. You know that, but it's button. So set on click listener. This is the event. I just open a bracket here. So any code I added here, add code run when button click. So whenever anyone click the button in the UI, this button, this code will be fired automatically. Why? Because when the application gets started, this method get fired, right? When this one gets fired, this event get registered. So this event get registered as a forum or as a button event. So whenever anyone click on the button, this event will be fired. So what I want to do when someone click on this button, let me just add a simple code to get whatever age here. So this one has an ID name it edit text. You could name it etdob, date of birth. So also I want to change it. I just go here. I need to get the age from that field. So what I want to say, I say okay. I define my own variable here. I say var or val data dob. You could do it dob this way. And now this is like not a professional writing code. I could do user data of birth equal, I would say edit text. I want to read the text in it. So if I want to read the text inside this object, if you remember, this is the object and this is the field name it text. So I should say object name dot the properties name. So the name is etdob dot text. So I say etdob dot text this way. Hopefully it will work. See, dot text. Then I say dot to string. Always make sure convert it to string. So make sure I'm safe. So now what I'm doing here, I'm saying, hey, get whatever user input in the data of birth field. So whatever user put here, I just read it by calling the object name or object ID dot the properties. If you want to read the hint, you say etdob dot hint. Because I want to read the text, I say etdob dot text. So now I have a user dob here. Now how I could calculate how old he is or she is, I need to subtract the current year from the user age. So what I will do, I say val another current year will be as equal to a calendar. In this case, I won't just get the current year from the device. So I say calendar dot get instance, and then in this case I will say calendar dot year. So because I want to read the year only. You could read different information. You could read the month, you could read the day, whatever you want to read from the current device. Okay, for me, I just want to read the year. For you, you want maybe want to put a complete app, calculate month, day, year, so use that case. So I say, hey, just get instance. This get instance should be in this way dot get. Okay, so I'm saying, hey, from the calendar, please get the year. So if you see, they automatically define this one as integer, this one as a string, because maybe you want to convert this one to be as an integer. All what you need to do, you say integer. You know that how to do integer dot file, and this is how PHP does it. Parsing it. Okay, that's mean, hey, I want to make sure both of them integer, the date of birth and this one. I just take whatever input field here, convert it to the integer, because I need this one to be integer to do a mathematical operation between two objects. Both of them should be same data type. So now I should say, okay, val user age in years. Okay, you could say equal what I should do. I should subtract the current year. Okay, that's how I should do. Subtract from user data of birth. So in this case, I could now how old the user. So now I have the age here. Now I want to display this information where? I want to display this information here. So this one has also ID. You could see it here. As I name it text view. I could name it text view show age. So now I want to access to the text of this properties. That means text show v dot age. So I would say here text view dot text. I want to access to the text properties for this one. I will say your age is, and I need to show this one as a template. So $sign this object years. Okay. So very simple process. I'm just getting whatever user input in the first field, which is whatever user input in this one, getting it, converted the string because I need to do mathematics, get the current years from the device, subtract current years from the user data birth, display this information here. If you see, to access to the any UI object, you mention UI object dot the properties. If it's method, you want to register it, you say just call the method. If you just want to call properties, same thing. So now we have everything ready. Let we just run and see what's going on. Here we go, everything show up. Now if I just click on the UI and I click 1989, then I just hide the keyboard. I say get my age. Say your age 13 years old. Yeah, we did it. So you could just like 2000 maybe. So the app is working now fine. So because if I now just hide the keyboard now and try to get my age, your age is 19 years old. The app working fine. I was able to connect UI with the code normally, and very excellent. But just remember, you don't want to add all your even registered code here and the onCreate. In this case, your onCreate be so big method. There is a two way to get around this one. Either you just take this code and move it to a different method. You say bu void button the click when someone click on the button, and make sure function, and this function name it button click. You just move your code here, so you just make sure, hey, when someone click on this button, please call this method. So you just try to button get age click. You just try to separate it, or you could do it in different way. You don't need to register events. You don't need to do this. So just let me comment this one. Comment this one. I added between comment. That means this code will not run. You could connect the UI directory with that method. That means this UI, I say on a click. When someone click on the button, I say on a click. See, I could add event here. I say bu button age click. Okay, or bu user age click. Okay, now if I just go here, you see in the button there is a method created, but the method doesn't have any implementation. You could implement it here by click here and say, hey, create handler for it. Click OK. They may create it, or they may not. The ID has an issue. The ID cannot create this method for you. You could, in this case, you need to create it manually. So you need to go here and say, okay, I have a method, and this method name is this, and in this case, because I am doing a view, so this one is supposed to get a view as input. Okay, this is how it works. This view is instance of the view enter, so they import the view for you. This case also works. So you could either register the event here. You could just register it and add your code here, or you move it to method, or you just access directly from the UI. Let me just run and see the results. Here you go. I would just input my date of birth here. I just want to tell you the different way, and now I will tell you what you should pick. And this way, I say get you right. So you show how we was able to register event using Android way, which is event driven. We add the event, or we just connect directory. We just connect the UI with the code, which is this one, or implement the method. The best one is not a connect UI with the code. The best one is what? Is using the event driven. Why? Because we need to separate the concern. We need to the code is separated from the UI. So when someone want to change the code, it change on only the code. You don't need to change the UI, which is something about MVC patterns. So always make sure your code is event driven. So you just register your event here, you do your method, you call your method, and that's the best design you could do it for Android. I think for now I'm all set. So let's go to the next video and see how we could do some debugging in Android.